Begin the current Daf from the Shabbos Daf Kuf Yud. Begin on the bottom of Kuf Testament Beis, the last word on the Amid. We continue with the discussion of the previous Daf, which is the discussion of our Mishnayos regarding the halachas of refuah, the issur of doing medicinal practices on Shabbos. We continue where we were discussing regarding the refuah related to a nachash, regarding that of a snake. Ashir corresponds because of Cheskel to any time Daf Achayim. Something we're going to discuss in today's Daf is what to do when a snake is attacking. It's a very interesting Daf. It's not it's unique in the sense of the types of discussions that we're going to have in today's Daf. Which food and drinks the Mishnah meant to permit when it said kol eichun kol mashkin? When we're saying all foods and all beverages, we said even though it's healing, but if it's a regular food or beverage, you're not to drink it. Well, when you're saying kol, what are you coming to include with the kol? Actually, we're going to discuss some healing practices for Zav, and Urokin, jaundice, and there's certain discharge for a person's body or certain illnesses. What are certain healing practices that could be done? Under which circumstances a person may drink a kreshel likar, and a kreshel likar could sterilize a person. When is someone allowed to do that? Because generally there's a prohibition of castrating, of sterilizing a person, that's the issur known as sirus, and also that relates to the discussion of pruruvu. If a person has an obligation to be fruitful and multiply, that would be problematic in castrating or sterilizing a person, because then he can't have children anymore. So begin the current daf, the last word on Kuf Testament Beis. We will continue where the Gemara had just said that if someone had a snake bite him, what he should do is he should bring an embryo from a white donkey and should tear it, and should sit on it, should place it on him. So he said that as long as we don't find that the mother is a treifa, if the mother had a mortal defect, then it's not going to work. So the Gemara brings a story related to that healing practice. Hahu, as we continue to have Kuf Yud Aleph, Bar Kasha, there was this officer that was appointed to work for the king, and he was a Jewish person, the Pumbedisa, from the place Pumbedisa, the Tarkei Chivya, who was bitten by a snake. There was 13 white donkeys in Pumbedisa, and again, that's the healing practice. Get that embryo, and then you could put it on the snake bite. Karinu l'kulu, they tore open every one of them. V'ishtakhu treifa, and it turned out that the mother was a treifa, so that's not effective. Now, but havachadi ba'hu gisa the Pumbedisa. There's one more on the other side of Pumbedisa, which was a town in a city in Babel. At the Azli Maisla, by the time they went to bring it, Achla Ari, a lion ate it up already. So Abai said to them, what's going on over here? It's pretty ominous over here, whereas every last donkey that there was is not working for this guy. So Abai said to them, Dilma chibi de rabbanan tarki, maybe the snake of the rabbis bit him. Meaning, maybe he violated an issur of the sages, and the snake was biting him because of that. The Leslie Asusa, where there's no healing, and therefore he couldn't find a refuah. Because the pasuk says in Kehelis, Ufayred's Geder, the one who breaches the fence of Chazal, Yishachen Nachash, the snake will bite him. That Amalei said to Abaye, yes, Rebbe, that is exactly what happened. Because the Chinach Nafshi, the Rav, when Rav passed away, Gaz Reb Yitzchak Bar Bisna, they made a Gezerah, the Leka de Lamtier, you're not supposed to bring Asa, the myrtle branches, the gidmish, and also a palm tree, lebehi luli, to the chasna, betavla with bells. Meaning, they decreed that they should diminish the joy from that year, and a person should not bring these myrtle branches with these palm trees with bells on it to the chasna, because they used to bring these things to be mesameh chasa b'kalo, and when they would bring it, so it would shake and it would make sounds in the street with drums and bells, so they made a gezerah that shouldn't be done that year as a way of diminishing the joy because the great Rav had passed away. And this officer, he went, and he violated that gather from the Rabbanan, and therefore, Tarkei Chivya miss. He was bitten by the snake, and he died because that's pirate's gather. You breached the fence of the rabbis, you're bitten by a snake, and it's unlike a regular snake, which you cannot be healed. Continue on this. Regarding a snake, so the Gemara says, "Haiman de karchei chivya." Someone has that a snake wraps itself around him. So what should he do? Limchis lamaya. He should go into a body of water. The lischif de kula aresha. He should turn over the basket on its head, meaning of the snake, above the head of the snake. V'lahatke minei, and then push it away from him. The way he does is he pushes the basket downwards towards the snake, to separate the snake from his flesh, so that the snake should go on the basket. which is because if you're going to try to grab a hold of the snake with your hand or push it away forcefully, then the snake's going to get angry and it's going to bite it. So you go into the body of water, put the basket over its head, and you keep on pushing away. Now when the snake goes ilove on the basket, so quickly lishabi lamaya, throw it into the water, and go up and run away, because the basket's over his head, and quite often you find with bugs also, whatever's near them, they go onto that, so it's going to be going on the basket, you're going to have a separation between you and the snake, and then you just throw it into the water and you run away. This the Gemara says, someone has a snake that's angry at him, and it's running after him, and it smells his footsteps and it's chasing him. So if he has a friend with him, let him ride on his friend on his shoulders for 4 amas, so that it should stop the trail of his footsteps, and the snake's not going to be able to smell the smell. You know that certain animals, like dogs, they have like the police, they could follow the scent of the smell, and if you go on his shoulder, it's going to interrupt the smell. So that's one way of getting rid of him. Now, let's say you don't have someone else with you, or that's not an option. Lishra nigra, so he should jump over a ditch of water, where again that stops the trail, that in his tracks, and he jumps over the body of water. If it doesn't have that option either, la'av, he should cross over a river. Now, ubalelia, at nighttime, what should he do? He should put his bed on 4 barrels, and that's 2 reasons why. One is that so the snake shouldn't be able to get him so quickly because it's on top of the barrel, and also it's not going to smell the smell because the barrels are going to be that interruption. Also, v'nigni be'kuchvi, he should sleep under the stars, which means to say in an open area, so that the snake shouldn't be able to go on the roof and jump from the roof on top of him. And v'leisi dalet shunri, he should bring 4 cats. V'lesrinu ba'arbog kari depurye, he should tie them by the 4 legs of his bed. V'leisi shechafi, he should bring branches and twigs and anything that makes noise when you step on it. So when the snake is going to go over it, it's going to make noise, and then the cats are going to become aware, and then they're going to the chishama kali, when the cats hear the sound of a lishti hasam, you should put over there, the chishama kali, when the snakes hear the sound of the snake slithering on the branches, on the twigs, achale, they're going to eat him. Says the Gemara further, similarly, someone has a snake chasing after him. Sounds like we're like preparing to go to the Amazon here or something. But if someone has a snake running after him, lirid beichalsa, so he should run between the sands, because the snake can't run very fast over there, and then it's just going to back out. It's going to stop chasing him. Also says the Gemara, Hai itza, the chazi chivya. If a woman has that a snake sees it, and the woman doesn't know, if the snake is thinking about her, or if the snake's not thinking about her, which Rashi explains means to say for the desire to cohabit with her. So what she should do is as follows: Tashalach mana, she should remove her clothing, and she should throw it in front of the snake. If the snake wraps itself in her clothing, that means his thoughts are on her. And if not, if it doesn't wrap itself in her clothing, so then his thoughts are not on her. Now it says the Gemara, let's say his thoughts are on her, and he starts wrapping himself in her clothing. So what should she do? So says the Gemara, she should have marital relations with her husband in front of the snake, and then she's going to become disgraced to the snake, and then the snake's going to stop chasing her. Now you can tell me that those that say no, to the contrary, for sure that's going to increase the desire of the snake if she's going to have marital relations in front of the snake. But rather, what should she do is tishkol mimazia, she should take from her hair, umitofram from her nails, v'tishli bein, she should throw in front of the snake, v'temen, she should say dishtuna ana, which means to say that I'm menstruating. And as Rashi explains, that's just a lachash ba'alma, it's incantation, it's just some type of a spell that she shall say in front of the snake, and that will stop the snake from chasing her. Similarly, says the Gemara, Hi Itza, regarding that woman, the ayil b'chivya, if a snake enters into her, which is, as Rashi says, that if a snake desires her, he totally goes into the private area of the woman. So what should she do? So lifsa, so she should open up her legs, separate them one from the other. V'lesvua tarti chaviti, and she should sit on top of 2 barrels. part on one side and part on the other barrel, so that her womb should open up. V'leisi bisr shamna, and they should bring fatty meat, v'lishtia gumi, and throw it on the coals, because you put fatty meat on the coals, and when it makes a barbecue nose, it has a good aroma that starts coming out. And v'leisi agona detachle, and put on that a basket full of cress, v'chamer richasana, and aromatic wine that has a good smell, v'leisvu hasam, and she puts it on the ground beneath where she's sitting, v'leturkinu bahadi adadi, and then you mix it all together, the wine, the cress, so it has this real strong aroma. V'limkit tzavsa b'yad, and she should hold tongs in her hand, chimerich reicha, so when the snake smells that good smell, nafik v'asi, it's going to come out from her, v'leshakle, and then she should take the snake, v'lekali benura, and burn him in the fire. Because the Gemara says the Eloi, if she doesn't burn him in the fire, Hadi Lavo is going to come back in, and therefore that's the approach what the woman should do in that type of situation. Now we continue with the halacha of the Mishnah that we said, although refuah is forbidden on Shabbos, like we said, you can't eat the sizavia, and certain things you can't eat or drink because they're refuah, that you can't take medicine on Shabbos, but we said kol eichlin b'chulu, all types of foods and drinks that are eaten by healthy people, that's going to be mutter. If it's not eaten by healthy people, then it's going to be asik, it's obviously for therapeutic reasons. So that the Gemara says, when you said kol ha'eichlin, say all food items. Why don't you say food items? What's kol ha'eichlin? What's it coming to include? Obviously, it's coming to include something that you might have thought maybe wouldn't be included. It's l'suyi t'chayla shenayim. It's coming to include the spleen for one's teeth. So it's what's beneficial for the teeth is eating spleen. Now, although it's actually harmful for the intestines, as many medicines and medications, it's good for one thing, but it's harmful for something else. So it's including spleen if you're taking for the teeth, or recreation of the name of if you're taking veg for intestines, although that's actually harmful for the teeth, as the Gemara says the brachas of Mendama base. So you would have thought to say, since it's harmful for people, it's not normal to eat it unless you want it for medicinal purposes. So it's obvious you're doing it for refuah, and it should be forbidden. That's what come and tell you. No, since it is a food item and people do eat it, so therefore it's going to be permitted, although it does have a harmful secondary effect. When you said kol hamashkin l'suyim, when you said all beverages, what's that coming to include? It says Gemara l'suyim made talofen b'chayim. It's coming to include the caper fruit in vinegar, where also it seems that it had some side effect, and still it's permitted because that's something that's a drink that people would drink. Ravina said to Rava, "Ma'olish is miracle Shabbos. What's halacha? Are you allowed to drink urine on Shabbos?" Amalei says to Nina, "No, we learned in the Mishnah, kol hamashkin sheisa, all beverages you could drink. Miracle people don't usually drink urine. It's not a beverage. People might drink urine for medicinal purposes, but just to drink urine, it's not, and therefore that would be something that would be forbidden." Additionally, the Mishnah said, although you're allowed to eat all types of foods and drink all types of drinks, but chutz mi made the kalam, he said, except for the water of palm trees, that you're not allowed to drink on Shabbos. Now, Tanu Lemna Braisa has a slightly different version that said chutz mi made the karm, but except for that water that pierces. So the Gemara explains, Man the Tana made the karm, the one that says it's the water that pierces, is shem doikrim es hamara, because it pierces the gallbladder. Man Dama made the karm, the one that says that it's water of palm trees, is sheyotz in mishnei diklitz, because it goes out from two different palm trees. As the Gemara explains, my made the karm, what's this water of the palm trees? So Rabbi Babaroini says it's tarti taloi. It's two palm trees that ikabem that's in the west, in Eretz Yisrael. V'nafke eina demaya mebinayim, and there's a spring of water that comes out from between those two palm trees. Kasekama, the first cup that you drink from those waters, merapi, so it loosens the waste matter in the intestines a little bit. Idach, the second cup, is mishalshal. It starts making like a diuretic, really loose. The idach, and the third cup, is such a laxative, kihecha da'ayli, just like the water comes in, the drink comes in so clear. Hachanafki, that's exactly as it leaves, because it totally empties out the intestines from the earlier waste that's inside. Now, Ula says, he says, I drank the beer of the Babylonians. It's a better laxative than from the water of the palm trees. But this is only if he was not used to drinking beer already from the past Arbam Yemen for 40 days. If he didn't drink the Babylonian beer for 40 days, then it's going to have a strong effect on you, and that's when it's going to be a very strong laxative. Now, Yisif Amar, he says that the Meid Karm, the water that pierces, is because it pierces the sickness, What is that? That's Zeisma Mitzri. That's the Mitzri, the Egyptian beer. What's the ingredients? It's tilsa sari, a third of it is barley. The tilsa kortami, and a third of it is saffron. The tilsa milch, and a third of it is salt. Papa, he says slightly different. He says tilsa chiti, a third of it is wheat. The tilsa kortami, a third of it is saffron. The tilsa milch, and a third of it is salt. And the simonech, a mnemonic to remember who said what, is sisani. Now, what is sisani? It's a type of a vessel that they would put dates in it, like the Gemara says about Metzia, Samazayin. But the mnemonic of that is that you shouldn't mix up who said what, is to remember this vessel will be a sign, because Sisani has two samachs inside of it. So that's Rabbi Yosef said Sa'ari, although Sa'ari is with a sin, but it has the same sound. So Rabbi Yosef, he's the one that said it's Sa'ari, is the barley, and not the one who said, like Rav Papa, that's the wheat. Now, B'shasilu ben divchel atzarta, if you drink this between Pesach and Shavuos, so the comet, whoever's constipated, mirapulate, it helps loosen the bowels. The Rafi, whoever's too loose, so comet, it constipates him a little bit, it stops him from being so, having everything just come out. Continue with the Mishnah that we said, another thing that you cannot drink on Shabbos is V'kaisi Karan, is the cup of Ikaran. Says the Gemara, my Kaisi Karan, what's the cup of Ikaran? So Rabbi Shloimy says, what you do is Laisi Mitkel Zuzi. You bring a weight of a zuz is a certain type of a coin that has a certain amount of weight. You bring that weight of kuma, of gum, which is the sap of trees that are Alexandria. You also bring a maskel zuzi, you bring a weight of a zuz of gav yigila, which that, like Rashi explains, is alum, type of mineral. Umaskel zuza kukuma rishka, and you take a weight of a zuz of, like Rashi explains, it's the garden variety of saffron. And you grind them together. Now, these three ingredients, lezava, for a zava, which is a woman that has the blood coming out of her body. So, tlasa, you take these three ingredients all together, and you drink it b'chamer with wine. And she's not going to be sterilized, means it's not going to prevent her from having a child, because the wine takes away the strength of these ingredients, and it's going to still heal from the sickness without having a negative effect on her body. Now, liyarkaina, for jaundice, so train, actually, two of these ingredients out of the three you're going to drink, b'shichra with beer, and that's the therapy, but a miyakar. But when someone does this, it's going to sterilize him, and he's not going to have children anymore. So now the Gemara goes into a lengthy discussion regarding the first of these things, that was regarding healing for a zava. We go through many different types of refuahs for a zava. So a zava is a woman that's blood is flowing out of her, and sometimes it's too much. So the first one we already mentioned, and then we're going to say if that doesn't work, if that doesn't work, what are different therapeutic options that you could use? Says the Gemara as follows: L'zava, to heal a woman for the blood flow of her zava. So tlasa b'cham, like we said before, you're going to take those three ingredients that we mentioned, the Alexandrian sap, the alum, and the saffron, and you're going to have them with wine. And it's not going to sterilize her. Again, we're just saying it again because we want to start off the whole list of all the refuahs that it can be used as up. V'iloi, and if that doesn't work, or if she doesn't have those ingredients, so again, all these different things that we're about to say only work for zava. So Maisi Tlasa, she should bring three as a continuum of base, kefizi. What's kefizi? We'll see this a few times. It's a vessel that contains 3 log, so it's a measurement. So bring 3 kefizi of shamche, which are of onions, that parsai of the Persian type, which are very large. The nishlik b'chamri, you boil it in wine. The nashkin, you give the zava to drink this drink. The nemelan, you tell her, kum mizayvich, get up from your zayv, which a lot of them are going to have this wording of, stop your flow of your zayv. Now, that's the therapy. V'loi, if that doesn't work, or if you don't have this option, loisva prasha drachim, you put her by the crossroads. V'linkita kasa d'chame b'yad, you have her hold a cup of wine in her hand. V'leisi inish ma'chayr, you bring a person from behind. V'livasa, and surprise her, and shock her without her knowing suddenly. V'leimula, and tell her, kum ezevich, stop your flow of zava. Now, v'loi, if that doesn't work, or if you don't have that option, leisi buna, you bring a fistful, the kamuna of kumin, ubuna de marika, and a fistful of saffron, ubuna de shavlilasa, and a fistful of fenugreek, v'nishlik b'chamer, and you boil it with wine, v'nashkin, you give her to drink, v'nemel, and you tell her, kum ezevich, get up, stop your flow of your zava. Again, v'loi, if that doesn't work, or if you don't have that option, leisi shitin shi'ididana, you bring 60 seals of a barrel, v'lashafye, and after you dissolve it in water, then you smear it on her. V'leimela, you tell her, kumi zayrich, get her from your zav. Now, beloy, again, if that doesn't work, or if you don't have that option, lesi pashtina. Pashtina is a type of herb that doesn't grow upwards, rather it grows horizontal on the ground. So bring this pashtina herb, v'lishlik b'chama, and you boil it in wine, l'shafia, and you smear it on her, v'neimela kumi zayrich, and you tell her, get up from your zav. Beloy, if that doesn't work, or that's not an option, lesi charnuga, which is a type of herb that grows by thorn bushes, the higna ramisa, and specifically you want to bring this charnuga of the ramisa bush, which is a certain type of a thorn bush. The likli, and you burn it, the lisva, and you take those ashes, b'shachaki dechisna, from the rags of a linen garment, b'kaita, in the summertime, but ub'shachti da amar gafna, you use rags of cotton if it's besisva in the winter, and that's what you go and you put it on her, and that should heal her from a zav. Now, if that doesn't work, if that's not an option, lichri sheva biri, and these are all different options of therapy that you could try to help the zav stop. So lichri sheva biri, you dig 7 pits, velikli buhu shavisha yolda, and you burn over there young vines, the arla from an arla tree, which is from the first 3 years when it was planted. The linkita kasa the chamabiyad, and you have her hold a cup of wine in her hand, and she should sit on the pit. The lukmamaha, and she should get up from this pit, and then you sit her down on the other pit. The lukmamaha, then you get up, you tell her to get up from this pit and sit on that pit. From every one of those 7 pits, every time you do this, you tell her, get up from your zav. Now, vilay, that doesn't work. If you don't have that option, leisa smita, you bring fine flour, the lischa, and you smear that on her, from her bottom half of her body. And you tell her, get up from your zava. Viloi, if that doesn't work, if that's not an option, you bring an ostrich egg, the likli, and you burn it. The lisva, and you take it with linen rags, if that's in the summer months, or you take rags of cotton if it's persistent in the winter, and that you put on her, and that should stop her from her zav. If that doesn't work, if that's not an option, you open up a barrel of wine for her sake. Meaning to say, you have her drink a lot of wine, and that should stop her from her zav. If that doesn't work, if that's not an option, limkit sa'arasa, the mishtakachas bechafusa b'chudna chivra. You give her barley that's found in the dung, which is the waste matter of a white mule. Now, inakta, if she holds it in her hand, chad yemim for 1 day, so then paska, then she stops from hazav trei yemim for 2 days. V'inakta trei yemim, if she holds, that's the slide that we have over here, if she holds in her hand for 2 days, paska tlasa yemim, then she stops for 3 days. V'inakta tlasa yemim, if she holds in her hand for 3 days, paska l'olam, then she's going to stop having that zava forever. That was the Gemara's discussion regarding how to heal the zav. Now we continue where the Gemara said, liyarkaina, we said for jaundice, we spoke about 2 different healing properties that come with those 3 ingredients. For that of zava, we said that you're going to use those 3 ingredients with wine, and it's not going to sterilize it. Then we said, but liyarkaina, for jaundice, we said that those 3 ingredients of kumo, gavigila, and kurkuma, you're going to take train 2 of them, b'shikra, with beer, and that's going to heal the jaundice, which is a type of sickness. Umiyakar, but it's going to sterilize the person. Now, it says the Gemara v'ilai, let's say you don't have those ingredients, or you tried that and it didn't work. It says the Gemara, leisi reisha de shivuta. You should bring the head of a fish that's called shivuta, the milcha that was salted, the lishlik b'shikra, and you should boil it in beer. The lishlik, and you drink that will heal the jaundice. V'ilai, if that doesn't work, or if that's not an option, leisi manina de kanzi. You should bring the juice of the grasshopper, and you should drink that. Be like a manuna de kamsi. If you don't have that juice of a grasshopper, leisa manuna de nekiri. You should bring the juice of this type of a small bird called a nekiri. V'la'ayla lebeibani, and then you take this again. It's all these cases that we spoke about actually. Meaning you take the juice of the grasshopper or the juice of the nekiri, and you bring it into the bathhouse. The shafi actually don't drink it. Actually, you smear it. Now, v'leki beibani. Let's say you don't have a bathhouse. So look maybe ben tanur leguda. So you should put him between an oven and a wall in a hot place where he should perspire, and that's going to make the sickness of the jaundice come out of him. Now, Amr Birchen, he actually gives a different option. He says, if someone wants to heat up this person, which seems like that this is part of getting rid of the jaundice, you should wrap him in his sheet very well, or in the sheet of a different person that's sick from the same sickness. And if you wrap him like that, that's going to cause him to perspire and to heat up and get out the jaundice from his system. As actually, Gemara brings it, Rav Acha bar Yosem Chashbei, he was sick with this jaundice, and Avali Rav Kahana did this healing of wrapping in the sheet, and Vitasi, and he got healed. Now, Viloi, let's say you don't have this as an option or it doesn't work. Let's say it's lost to kafizi, you should bring 3 kafizi, which we said is a vessel host 3 lug, of Tamri Parsiyasa, the Persian dates, with lost to kafizi and 3 kafizi of the Kira Dinish Tarufe, which that's the wax that overflowed from a honeycomb and it dripped out, where it filled up, and that's the overflow wax. You should take 3 kafizi of that, with lost to kafizi aloe terlona, and 3 kafizi of red aloe, and you boil that in beer, and you drink that, and that will heal for the jaundice. If that doesn't work, or that's not an option, you should bring a foal, which is a young donkey, son of a donkey, and they should shave off from the sick person, the middle of his head, they should draw blood from the forehead of the young donkey, and they should put it on the head of the sick person who had shaved off the middle of his head, and they should put it on there. Now, but they should be careful that the blood should not drip into his eyes, that it shouldn't blind him. Now, if that doesn't work, or that's an option to heal the jaundice, they should bring the head of a ram, the manach bechirsha that's placed, that's pickled in brine or in vinegar, and they should boil it in beer, and then drink it, and that will heal him from the jaundice. If that doesn't work, if that's not an option, they should bring a chazir, a swine that's speckled, and they should tear it open, and they should put it on his heart, meaning on his chest area, and that will heal him from the jaundice. If that doesn't work, if that's not an option, they should bring leeks, mikavsusa de mishri, from the middle of the rows, which are very sharp, and that will heal him from the jaundice. As actually the Gemara brings a story related to this. There was a certain Arab merchant, the Chashbei, that had this jaundice. So Amalei Liginoi, he said to the gardener, he says, Shokol Glimoi. He says, take my coat, Bahavli Meishu Dekarti, and in that place, for bartering, give me a row of leek. So you have to leave Achla. So he gave it to him, and then he ate that middle row of the leek. So Amalei, then after he ate the leek, he said, he says, lend me your coat, meaning the coat that he bartered for. He says, just lend it to me. Vigani Bey, and then I'll sleep in it, Koli, a little bit. So he wrapped himself in that cloak, and Gani Bey, and he slept in it. Now, Kadichamim become, but when he was sleeping and his body got heated up from eating those leeks, which is a way of getting out that jaundice from his body, become when he got up, Nafal Purta, the talus just totally disintegrated from the heat of this illness that came out when he perspired, that the whole cloak just fell apart into little pieces, again because of the healing of for the jaundice by this medicinal practice of using the leeks from the middle of the rows. Now the Gemara has a question on this. You told me liarkaina for jaundice, you said, for the zava, you can use 3 of those ingredients of wine, and it's not going to sterilize. You said for jaundice, you can take train biship, or you take 2 of those ingredients, and you're going to use it with beer. It's going to sterilize the person. Says the Gemara, Mishari, is it permitted then to drink this kais ikaran, this cup of sterility? But Betanu, in the Bryce, how do we know castration by a man, which is preventing him, is sterilizing the person? Shu Asur, person's not allowed to sterilize himself. Tamalayim, it says a pasuk in the Yikra. It says there in the pasuk, it's talking about uma'och, b'chasus, b'nosuk, b'choris. We'll actually explain that shortly. These are different ways of cutting the genital area. That is actually talking about a carbon. Now brings such a carbon to Hashem, but the pasuk ends off, although it's talking about an animal that's a carbon, it says, "V'artzechem lo yisasu." In your land, you shouldn't do this. What does that mean? B'chem lo yisasu. In yourself, you shouldn't do this. That's the Reb Chanina. Now, where do you see from a ba'artzachem that it's talking about not to do it to yourself? So Taisus brings that, as he proves from other Gemaras, that the Gemara expounds from the word aretz, that the word chaf mem at the end is like a different word. There's ba'artzachem is aretz and chem. Chem is like mekem, from you. Bochem. Chem is referring to you, and therefore, that's how we know that it's referring to a human being also, that you're also not supposed to have castration. So therefore the Gemara is back to the question, so how do we understand that Yarkain, you're going to take this drink that's going to heal you from jaundice, but it's going to sterilize you? That's forbidden to sterilize a human being. It says Gemara, when do we say this is when you do it directly? But over here, it happens by itself, it's indirectly, where you're taking this certain type of a therapy and it's going to create castration, sterilization. That is not forbidden. I think Gemara says, the Amr Rabbi Yechanan says, and this the Gemara's proof, someone wants to sterilize a rooster. Doesn't want to have any more from this rooster anymore. So what you should do is vital karbalasa. You should take away his crest, which is the top part that you ever see a peacock, and they pride themselves in this. And then it's going to cause him to become sterilized. Now, although you're not allowed to sterilize an animal, but if you want to do it, you can do it indirectly. Take away its crest, and then it's going to stop being able to have children. Now, so you see that if it's indirectly, it's not forbidden. On this, the Gemara asked, but V'amar Rashi said, Remus ruchu dinukale. It's actually not serious. It's actually not sterilizing the rooster. What happens is that the rooster has certain arrogance. When you take away his pride, he mourns on it, and that's it. He stops procreating. But serous, but to actually sterilize him, that would actually be forbidden, even indirectly. So you don't have a raya from Rabbi Yechanan. So the Gemara is you're going to try 5 different approaches to explain how we're going to answer the question, how you're allowed to take a cup of sterility. So we wanted to say, yeah, it happens by itself, but the Gemara rejects that and says, no. Who says it happens by itself is going to be permitted? This, that we say that by the rooster you could take away his crest, is not even sterilizing him. He decides, no, he's not, that's it, I'm done already. It's like he gets depressed and he's done. But you're not sterilizing. So the Rabbi says the Gemara, that we said that someone's allowed to drink the cup of sterility, he's talking about besaris. Someone's already a eunuch, someone's already sterilized. That type of a person is anyway sterilized, so it doesn't make a difference. So he's going to go ahead and he could drink this if, let's say, he has jaundice. The Gemara still asks on this and says, he says, it continues about Kufiyat Alpha and Aleph, Hakol Maidim, everyone agrees, meaning, even though there's a machlekes regarding a firstborn animal, which has a certain sanctity that you're not allowed to inflict a mum, a blemish in, but let's say it has the congestion of the blood. So it's dangerous if the blood becomes congested. So there's a machlekes, are you allowed to go ahead and do hakaza? Are you allowed to draw the blood to lighten the blood from the firstborn animal, because that's inflicting a blemish when you're going to be puncturing with the lancet. So there are those who say it's permitted to do that and inflict the blemish, because anyways it's going to die. But on that, says the Gemara, everyone agrees, b'mechametz, when someone is leavening, making chametz stick, a mincha, flour offering, achar mechametz, after someone already went and made it leavened already anyway, that shulchayv, that you can be liable because all the activities of a flour offering are forbidden to be done in the chametz stick way, in the leavening way. Like it says in the pasuk, how do we know that if there's already chametz anyway, what's the difference that when I'm doing making a chametz stick, it's already chametz stick anyway? Yes, you're going to be chayiv every single one who does it. The pasuk says b'yikol loisi af chametz. You shouldn't bake it, the mincha, the flour offering, chametz stick. And like the pasuk b'yikra, it also says loisi asa chametz. You shouldn't make it chametz stick. Now the question is, it already said you shouldn't make it chametz stick. That includes all types of activities, including baking. Why did we single out and specify baking? Oh, to compare it, to say, just like baking is one of the distinct activities, which you can be chayiv individually on that. So therefore, everyone agrees that let's say the first one went and kneaded the dough, which is that when you take with the flour and the water and you did that chametz stick, and then the second person comes along and starts the braiding chametz stick, and the third one does the baking chametz stick, they're all going to be chayiv for making the flour offering chametz stick. So the same thing is, says the Gemara, b'mesaris acha mesaris. If someone castrates a person and another person castrates him, shulchayv doesn't be liable. What do you mean? How could you do that if it's already done? So like it says the pasuk in the Yikra. It says the pasuk that we quoted before. It says u'ma'och, and this is all talking about the genital area. If it's squeezed, v'chasis, if it's crushed, v'nasik, if it's detached, v'charas, and it's cut. So we're saying regarding all these types of animals, you can't bring that as a carbon on the mizbeach, which that was the end of the pasuk about artzachem loisasu, which bachem comes to tell you that the same thing applies to a human being not supposed to do this. Now the question is, why is the pasuk mentioning all these terminologies? Im al karas chayiv, if you can be liable for cutting the general area, which cutting means to say it's not totally detached, it's just cut, but it's still hanging in the sack. So al notikul kolchkin, when it's detached, isn't that a kabel chaimer? For sure that's going to be a problem. So on that says the Gemara, el rather lehevi, because that's coming to include noisik achal karas. Yeah, if it was cut, and then someone else goes and now detaches it, shehu chayiv dezig michayiv, because yes, although it was a saras, but you're going to do it more now, you're going to take it to the next step, you're going to be chayiv. So back to the question. It's not a good answer to say that when you're allowed to drink a kosher current that's going to sterilize, if a person's already sterilized, because even if a person's sterilized, you cannot add sterility to this sterilization. And therefore, who's going to be the one drinking this kosher current for the jaundice? So rather, the Gemara comes to approach number 3. It says, Bezakin, talking about an older person who stopped having children. And here, as Taisa says, you can't have the problem about Mesaras Achad Mesaras. What do you mean? Although he's not having children, you're not allowed to add sterility. Because it says being old is not being sterile. It's not adding to the sterility. And therefore, an older person could drink this kosher lakar. But the Gemara doesn't like this either. Rabbi Shloimy said in Masechtas Gittin, Perek Misha, he says, Hein hexeruni lenaroise. Says that was the potion that brought me back to my youth, which means there's certain medicines that the Gemara mentions over there. Someone who doesn't have such virility in his marital relations. Rabbi Shloimy says, although I was old already, but this medication brought me back to have like a young man again for marital intimacy. So one thing the Gemara is asking is that you see an older person could have children too. He could get the testosterone back. He could come back to his virility, and therefore an older person you also then can't drink the kosher current because that also will be sterilizing it. So rather, the Gemara comes to approach number 4. You're talking about be'isha, by a woman. A woman doesn't have the mitzvah period of having children. Like the Gemara says in Yevamis, it says in the pasuk, Peru Revu Umilu Sa'aretz v'kivshua. It puts together having children with v'kivshua of conquering, which a man, his way is to conquer. But women are not, that's not the norm for them to conquer. So therefore, it's about a woman, there's no problem of her becoming sterile because she doesn't have a mitzvah of perverted. That's the Gemara, but Rabbi Yechon that he says, Al Shnei Mo'aymer. Yechon's opinion is mentioned elsewhere in Masechtas Gittin, other places, that he says that a woman also has a mitzvah per river. Like the pasuk says, "Vayivarch Oisem Elikim." God blessed them in the plural to Adam and Chava. V'yem Alehem Peruv, and he said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply." According to Michael, remember, what are you going to say? So I think Gemara says, okay, according to that, you have to say it's talking about bezekena, by elderly woman. So a regular woman, you're right, wouldn't be able to drink a cup of sterility because she also not allowed to sterilize herself. Or inami ba'akara, by a woman that's already barren, that can't have children, whereas Taisa explains, by a woman you also don't have a problem with saras achasaras, because by her, doesn't explain why, it doesn't have the halacha of sterilization. She's not the same anatomy as a man, but still, okay, there's no problem about serous, but there should be a problem about perverivia, and they were saying that no, there's no problem about perverivia, because a woman doesn't have a mitzvah perverivia, or even if she does, but we're talking about either an older woman or a woman that's nakara, and then she doesn't have that obligation of perverivia, although for a man it still might be a problem of sterility, but the woman doesn't have the problem of sterility, and therefore that's the case that we're talking about in regards to who's allowed to drink the potion for jaundice that would cause sterility. So some of this we spoke about in today's daf. We spoke about snakes and different ways to survive in the Amazon. And we spoke about that when it says in the Mishnah, all types of foods and drinks you're allowed to take. We said, what type of drinks are that and food did that come into include? Where although it's healing for one thing, it's harmful for another thing, you might think it's pretty obvious that you're doing it for healing purposes. And now we said that no, even that is actually going to be permitted because ultimately people drink it. And then we spoke about different types of therapies for zava, many different options for a woman that has zava, and we said kum mizavech, a way to heal her from that. And we spoke about that of jaundice, also different types of therapies for jaundice, and then the Gemara ended off with a discussion, a halachic discussion regarding, well, one of them is the jaundice is going to sterilize. How are you allowed to sterilize? We have 5 different approaches. The Gemara ultimately rejected and came out to the end. And it must be talking about a woman that is allowed to drink something that might sterilize her, or even if you hold that she has a mitzvah perverivia, it would have to be an elderly woman or a woman that's not nakar, that's a barren woman. Thank you for any time for hosting us.